Hello and welcome to Team Reptile's My Wildlife Adventures. We're up right now on the Black River in Cheboygan, Michigan. We've brought up the Team Reptile group here so we can check out the area, see what kind of wildlife we can find. Right now we are actually at the Black River. It's the upper Black River that runs into Black Lake. And everyone decided it's pretty hot today, so everyone decided to take a quick dip. And now we're going to head back in the woods and see what we can find.
We decided to start searching right along the edge of the river, and it didn't take long before we found our first critter.
What'd you guys get?
Pretty decent sized Blanding's turtle.
Oh wow, right over there by the rocks?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Oh, little baby northern water snake too.
I just saw the water snake crawling. Well, you guys work on that. Zach, come up and show the Blandings. Yeah. Oh wow. It's a big one. Oh, is it a male? It looks like a male. Yeah. Shell looks a little concave, doesn't it? Oh yeah, it's definitely concave.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways you can tell it's a male is if that shell goes in.
And he's got the long nails.
Plastron. Okay. How about the vent?
The vent is past the shell, definitely.
Now, how can we tell that this is a Blandings and not a wood turtle, since there's a lot of wood turtles up in this area too?
It's because of the yellow coloration, because on the wood turtles it'd be like orangish, it wouldn't be as yellow.
The shell's different, right?
Yeah.
Shell's more of a rounded shape. There's not any edges. Their scutes don't normally have all the annuli, although we have found some that have a lot of defined annuli. The neck, even though this guy so far is not bringing his neck out, the neck should be bright yellow, where the wood turtle is going to be orange and is much more flat than a Blandings. A Blandings is often called a semi-box turtle because of the fact that they have more of a dome shell and can close they can kind of hinge that close right there. Right, buddy? Like a puppet.
Alright. One of the main reasons people confuse wood turtles with Blandings turtles is because the plastron, the lower shell, is actually very similar in like color.
Alright, let's go ahead and let him go.
That's what I was thinking about right now, is speeding it up on Final Cut.
Uh-huh.
And then he wants
There
to
he
go.
goes.
Got a little help. There you go. It's like, there's some water. Not the fastest turtle underwater. The current's definitely gonna help them right now, but they're not a speedster underwater because of their shape.
Since we're talking about speedsters, it's only natural to talk about clams.
17 and a half hours later, the clam went from there to there. I don't really know if it was 17 and a half hours. I'm just saying that, but it's funny how long it probably took to be able to make that path. Looks like something had a clam bake here. I'm assuming either an otter or a raccoon or both like to dig these clams out. Bring them right up here and eat them.
Alright, so I just caught this male painted turtle here on the Black River, and I had to go in the water to get it and lost a shoe. But it's pretty big and it's got a lot of red on its plastron.
This turtle's shell is actually red because it's been absorbing the minerals that are in the water. That can occur over time, and then eventually the shell will change from that tan or yellow color to more of a red.
That is probably the biggest male painter I think I've ever seen in my life. It's huge. Normally a painted turtle, I'm like, yeah, wow, it's a painter.
I know.
This one is very cool. Pretty coloration on the shell, and it's just big.
Big
They grow
claws.
big up north. Cool. Is that the turtle?
Once we got a chance to check out this painter for a little while, Lauren decided to take it back down to the river. It was actually pretty entertaining for us to watch this turtle try to swim upstream.
At least she didn't throw him down.
We decided to head over to the other side of the bridge, and it didn't take long before we made another cool find.
Oh, wow.
It's missing a chunk of its tail, so
It's
The head
isn't. It doesn't have. I mean, it's got some.
I'm filming. He's coming at you. Oh. He's gonna leave. He's gonna leave a mark. I need help. I need somebody to grab the head. Somebody grab the head. I got his tail.
He bit me.
you really don't want to get this back.
Oh! I'm trying not to.
Hey, there's mud down there, Max.
I know.
I'm so
Oh,
helpful.
it's yellow on its stomach.
Ah, come on, snake.
You got it?
Yeah, he's already bit me a few. Oh, wow.
That's pretty. Look at the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's really yellow.
Definitely.
It's huge.
You're okay.
Stop, drop, and roll. Has it sprayed you
I
yet?
can already smell you.
Yeah, it sprayed while I was on the ground, though. So it wasn't terrible. Got me in both fingers, but not bad. It didn't bite me bad.
Not yet. No, it's spraying again.
Is it?
Yeah. Where's everybody going?
I don't smell good. No, this is a big, most likely female northern water snake. She's probably close to the biggest one I've ever caught, if not the biggest one I've ever caught.
She's got a lot of girth. She's
Yep.
thick.
Big head, too.
Definitely a female.
Yep, definitely a female.
Yeah, I can see now where the vent is.
Yeah.
Look at the head on
Not
that
super
thing.
happy that I'm holding me, but she's actually been somewhat friendly. She only bit me once on each hand. You can see the spots of blood there.
Looks like she got pretty good bites in you.
But yeah,
Cool.
one unique thing with this one, the yellow belly. I've never seen one before with that yellow of a belly.
See if you can show her ventral side real quick. That is, wow.
She's actually missing a good chunk of her tail too, so she would be a bit longer.
Huh. Yeah, she's really pretty.
After taking a little bit of time to look over the snake to make sure she was healthy, we decided to let her go.
Well, we got a chance to check out this big female northern water snake a little more, and she's right around 4 feet long, and we're gonna let her go right back down here in the water, right where we caught her. There she is.
It's one big snake.
It wasn't too long after letting this big water snake go that we found one of its smaller relatives.
Under there.
Underwear?
A juvenile northern water snake. Looks like it's about ready to shed, doesn't it? Look at how
Yeah.
the colors on it there.
But it's
Pretty
Looks like it
dull.
has a
Pretty
scar. or
Yeah,
something
that's true.
too, right there. See all of them?
Oh wow, yeah, a lot of little cuts.
Looks like I might have got stepped on at some point or something.
Huh. Yeah. I'm calling it a juvenile. It's really not that young. Right. 2 to 3 years at least. All right, cool. So we're doing all right tonight.
I'm film letting this go.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
While the other members of the group were still looking around for critters, Taylor and I decided it would be a good time to return an animal that we have been holding on to back to its original home.
This guy here is a little 5-line skink that Rich caught earlier in the year. And we took him back and showed some of the camps that we had, or actually all the camps we had this summer, and we're letting him go back where Rich caught him earlier this year. Doesn't want to go out.
I was so much safer at Rich's house in the aquarium.
Doesn't even know he's free.
Oh, he's still sitting in that pile.
There he goes.
We caught a male green frog. What's really interesting is how dark the coloration on it is and the spots, how vibrant they are.
There's some dark spots. It's really interesting. He looks like he's perched to jump, doesn't he? One of the things we're looking for up here is a mink frog. And there's definitely some characteristics about this one that make me think it could be a mink frog, but I don't think it is. Pretty sure it's a green frog. We'll look at the footage later and determine for sure. One of the things I need to do is look at his feet. Whoops.
One of the easiest ways to tell the difference between a green frog and a mink frog is to actually look at their hind legs. The green frog will generally have cross bands running along the back legs, where the mink frog will just have blotches there or spots.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a
Green frog.
green frog.
Alright, so I just caught a juvenile garter snake and it is shedding right now because its eyes are completely blue.
What Lauren means by that is when a snake is actually getting ready to shed its old skin, a lot of times their eyes will be covered by the shed as well. And with the snakes we find, it's generally a blue color. After we let the garter snake go, I decided to take the gang over to another area where I've often had a lot of luck myself finding different species of reptiles.
So we came up north and Rich told us how there's these snakes called the ringneck snake. The reason you can tell that is a ringneck snake because it has the yellow ring around its neck right there. These are one of the snakes in Michigan that do lay eggs, opposed to garter snakes and water snakes that do give live birth.
One of the really cool things about northern ringneck snakes is that they actually have venom in their rear fangs. It's just that the teeth are so small that it makes them completely harmless to humans. They can, however, deliver an awfully nasty bite to a salamander or some other type of small prey.
Another way to identify it as a ringneck snake is the orangish, yellowish belly on the underside.
Cool.
Well, that was one great find here in the sand dune area, but it still wasn't exactly what I was looking for. It didn't take too long of searching around, however, before Taylor came up with one of the species of reptile I was really counting on finding here.
We're just at our first stop on the four-wheeler trails up in Cheboygan, and just under these logs right here I found this beautiful female 5-line skink. She's pretty big too, and looking around here, just all the logs and these outcrops and everything are great habitats for these guys. And one of the ways you can tell that this 5-line skink is a female is because of the blue tail. That's really pretty on them. Go back there.
She is fast. There she goes. You guys fans of the Wiggles? Rolling down the sand hill, rolling.
You got a monarch caterpillar.
Oh, sweet. That is very cool. Find any chrysalis or not?
No, just this one.
It's cool. Now, how do you know it's a monarch?
Because of the yellow, black, and white stripes on it. And it's because it's on the milkweed plant, and that's the only caterpillar that eats milkweed.
Nice. All right, you're now Team Caterpillar. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We decided to take off down the trail for a little while, and as we were riding along, we came along a beautiful scenic overlook. Of course, when you see a spot like this, you just feel like you have to jump out and explore.
That's definitely a canine print. So we've come down here to the Black River, or further up the Black River, I should say. And we're exploring an area here. We haven't found much other than we found some very cool prints. One we believe to be the hind foot of a bear, right there, a black bear. That's what it looks like, size-wise, and judging by the marks. And then right next to it, what we believe to be a wolf. It could only be a coyote, that's possible, but it's definitely canine. Very possibly a wolf track. There's also deer prints here. All kinds of stuff here.
The easiest way to tell the difference between a wolf track and a coyote track is to actually look at the heel pad. The heel pad on a wolf print usually has a large semicircle in the back of it, where the heel pad on a coyote usually has two small semicircles almost resembling a nose. As we continued to search around, we weren't having much luck finding any wildlife, but we sure were finding a lot of prints. After a little while, however, we finally started to spot some amphibian life, finding a few green frogs and even some leopard frogs. Soon after that, we found an amphibian species that's pretty common all throughout Michigan.
We just found this little American toad. I actually thought it might be a Fowler's toad at first glance just because of the cool coloration on him. You can see the light color on his back, and then the red dots. And the red dots all over him. Oh, he's not really happy to be held right now.
Yeah, see how he's got two. He's got two spots on his, or two on each ward. It looks like.
Yep.
Now see, there's only one on some of them. It looks like. On the parotoid glands and all the different wards.
What was making me think it just that light color with the dark blacks, I know. The Fowler's toad has.
Tilt him back a little bit toward me, will you? Just because he's... Actually, let's turn him so he's facing me. Maybe a good face shot of him.
We checked out this toad for a little bit to determine that it was definitely not a Fowler's toad, and then we decided to let it go.
Okay.
Although we had had a lot of fun exploring the woods around the Black River, we decided we wanted to do something a little different and actually get out on the river. Fortunately, we had a couple kayaks and a rowboat, so we could do just that.
So we're out here on the lower Black River, and we got a boat and a couple kayaks out. And our first catch was this little Midland painted turtle, just up in the shallow end on the side of the river.
Is it male or female?
It is. It's like dead even with the shell.
So it should be a female, technically.
As we continued to travel down the river, we didn't have a whole lot of luck finding turtles like we had hoped we would, but we did happen to come upon a blue heron that we followed for a little while. I personally think that blue herons are just so majestic looking, and I absolutely just love to watch them fly. On the other hand, they're not always my favorite kind of animal, because they do tend to eat a lot of frogs as well as baby turtles, but that's part of the circle of life, right? After we left the heron, we decided to call it a day.
Yeah, see, that was cool. That was a good shot.
The next morning, we were off to a very, very chilly start.
So it is about 7:15 a.m. in the morning, and we have come down to the town of Wolverine to go out at Henley's tube rental. They've been nice enough to let us come out a couple hours early from when they open, and the water temperature is very cold. It's a lot of uh-ohs. Look at all you guys trying to keep your legs out. You guys are cracking me up.
We were really fortunate to be able to get out on the river this early, but I have to admit it was pretty darn cold. Our hope was to see some early morning wildlife that perhaps we wouldn't have the chance to see when other groups were out on the river. Unfortunately, we didn't have quite the luck we were hoping to have.
Hopefully something exciting will happen, because I'm just going to leave this running for a while. I don't think Lauren falling would be a big surprise to our viewers. This is going to be the longest, most boring piece of film.
Not gonna lie, I've been looking and I haven't seen any.
No, I mean, I've had a couple little birds fly by, that's been it.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah.
A cool little head.
And so that's how the tubing trip continued to go. Lots of little birds flying overhead. Not exactly what we had planned for this tubing trip.
I've got nothing but little birds, but I've been filming for an hour now.
Thankfully, the rest of the day was definitely going to go better for us. On our way back to Cheboygan, we decided to pull off the road and check out an area that we thought looked a little bit promising.
Oh, there she is.
There, oh, yep, careful. Lift it up, maybe.
Lift it up,
Lift the
yeah.
log. Don't roll it at all. There it goes. It's running towards you guys.
It's right there.
It's under the...
Where's the other one now?
May as well just lift it if you
Here, I'm
can.
gonna lift it. You ready? Yep.
We went back to the other log.
It's a speedster.
Here, you lift the log, I'll grab it. Okay, try it. Ready? I don't see it.
Ah, she was smart this time.
Check right up in there.
Oh no.
Well, we may have missed this one, but it didn't take long before we found another.
Let's see where she...
We're out at basically kind of a dump area here in Cheboygan, and it's not too far from where we're staying and where my dad lives, and I've had a lot of luck here with reptiles and amphibians, and these guys have already found a few skinks, including this male. It's a big adult male right here. That's one of the biggest ones I've seen. You can tell it's a male because of the darker coloration on the back. It doesn't have all the stripes. The reason they're called a 5-line skink is because they have 5 distinct lines. Well, the male in the spring will get more of like a reddish orange head and brown back, and then during the summer it'll kind of lose the red, but it maintains more of a dark color. And he's already bit Zach. Look at that tail on him too. That's a pretty cool looking tail. He's big, isn't he?
Yeah. They caught, those dudes, they tell you about the baby one.
Yeah.
That was really small.
Seems pretty relaxed right now.
This skink was really relaxed for us at first. It even seemed to pose for us when we first put it on the ground. After a little while, however, it decided to take off, and then we were in for quite a chase.
Not under the car.
Stop it.
Fortunately,
See him?
we were finally able to track down and catch the skink again, and then we took him back over to where we found him and let him go.
See if he'll go under eventually. There he goes.
I just found this little brown snake over kind of in the same area as Zach. Just found a large male 5-line skink in. This is just a little guy. I mean, they're not a very big snake species, but they do get slightly bigger than this. This one's actually about ready to shed. If you look at the eyes closely, it's kind of hard to see because his eyes are so tiny, but they have a slight cloud over them. Rich has told us how there's a good population of brown snakes up here. This is actually the first one we found on this trip, but he's found them here before in the past.
As we were checking out this northern brown snake, I suddenly realized I had a visitor hanging out on my shoulder.
This praying mantis was actually just hanging out on my shoulder. I was looking for some skinks and snakes and things like that under some wood and tarps, and all of a sudden I just happened to glance over because I thought I felt something crawling on my shoulder, and here's this big old praying mantis just walking around on my shoulder. Pretty cool. It's nice when the animals come to me. It makes life a lot easier.
As cool as it was to have this praying mantis hanging out on my shoulder, it was even cooler to watch it as it perched right up on a branch. It's absolutely amazing to see how well they can camouflage themselves against the background of a tree. Probably if it had been up on these branches, we would have never found it, so thankfully my shoulder obviously looked appealing to it.
We've come out now to Millington Creek. We're on our way out right now to some spots that there's reportedly elk at. So we're gonna check those areas out. But first of all, we had some people tell us about this place, Millington Creek, and said there's a lot of wildlife here, a lot of turtles. And supposedly there's some eagles that hang around here, a bunch of different wildlife. And so far we've had a lot of luck finding different species of frogs. Green frogs, wood frogs, American toad. But that's been about it. Of course, with it being getting close to dusk, the chance of seeing turtles right now is probably pretty slim. Beautiful habitat here though for just about everything you can think of. In fact, I see a tree right now that looks like it's got some holes in it. That is probably great habitat for a number of different animals. See if we can flip them over this way. It's a marlin.
We definitely had a lot of fun around the creek, but we didn't have too much luck.
Kind of has that shape though, doesn't it? Almost looks like it has a fin on the back and everything. I know it's not a marlin.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. It's weird. Whoa. Yeah.
Once we let this little fish go back in the water, we decided to make our way towards elk country. It was a bit of a drive to make it down to Vanderbilt, but at least we got to see some wildlife along the way. Pigeon River Country State Forest sits on approximately 100,000 acres of land, and it's home to somewhere between 500 to 900 elk. Elk, also known as wapiti, stand about 4 to 5 feet off the ground and weigh anywhere from about 300 pounds to about 1,100 pounds. So it can be pretty tough to miss them if they are standing out in the middle of a field. It's also difficult to confuse them with deer just based on sheer size alone. Our first stop at an elk viewing location let us see a couple individual cow elk, which are the female gender of the elk species. Our last stop before dark produced our best results. As we reached the top of a hill at a viewing location on the southern end of the state forest, we were fortunate enough to walk up on about 8 elk all grazing together. Although we only saw them from a distance, it was a great experience for all of us. After a short time, the elk started moving back into the protection of the trees, and we decided that it was also time for us to start making our way back to the cabin. This made for a great end to an incredible trip. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Team Reptile's My Wildlife Adventures.